What is going on over there? Hundreds of failures, catastrophic failures, serious quality control issue. There's no shortage of ruptured cases. We're seeing suppressors getting blown up and guns getting blown up, all from this ammunition. Powder hasn't been pressure tested correctly, and it's literally just exploding. Popped primers, ruptured cases, blown up suppressors, and blown up guns. Guys, is AAC ammunition blowing up guns at an alarming rate? And what does this mean to you? JDs and Letterman, welcome back to the show. This is 110 SAS Actual, and I appreciate you guys tuning in here today. A video format we typically do not do. However, this is a conversation I feel needs to be had. This is a topic that I feel very passionate about, and a topic that, simply put, I don't think anybody is talking about. It's AAC, American Ammunition Company, owned by PSA. Who are they? So this is a very budget-friendly match-grade ammunition company and also training ammunition company. They are making right now 77 grain match-grade ammunition for 5.56 for right around 55 cents a round. That is 2019 prices. That is extremely appealing and budget-friendly ammunition. And let's be real, I love that. It's made in America and it's affordable. Who has gone to the range ever and said, you know what? Man, I had a good time today, but I really wish I would have spent more money on ammo. Nobody. But if there ever was somebody to ask that, I would like to meet them because they seem like a pretty cool guy to hang out with, or at least I would like to ask them some financial advice. But for us normal folk, yes, this is awesome, right? Made in America and very affordable, and it's 77 grain. It's not just your cheap junk M193 stuff. Super rad, right? Well, maybe this comes with some cons. We need to talk about this. So we are doing a deep dive on this ammunition that we are seeing an alarming amount of failures with. So I was doom scrolling the other day on Facebook, stealing company time from my boss. Joke's on me. I am the boss of my own company and I am stealing my own hours. Stonks. I'm doom scrolling through Facebook and I see a guy saying, hey, I had a serious malfunction at a match, a rifle match the other day. He was shooting and all of a sudden his gun went dead. Trigger just went dead. Wouldn't go bang anymore. And his gun was essentially a club. And you look into the comments and you start reading it and stuff. And then he eventually comes out and says, yeah, when I opened up the lower from the upper receiver, there was 6 popped primers in my fire control group. 6 primers just hanging out with the homies with trigger pens and stuff like that, and had jammed up his entire trigger and made it unable to compete for the rest of that stage in that match. And that got me wondering, that's kind of crazy. That's a really bad lot of ammunition. But I feel like I've heard about this somewhere else before. So I went and opened Google, and about 10 business minutes of Google searching, I was able to find hundreds of failures, catastrophic failures with American Ammunition Company, ammunition, AAC, PSA's lineup. And it's got me questioning, what is going on over there? So what kind of failures are we seeing with this AAC ammunition? Well, we're seeing tons and tons. There's no shortage of blown out primers. There's no shortage of ruptured cases. While it's not happening as often as the primers are popping, we're seeing suppressors getting blown up and guns getting blown up, all from this ammunition. And it seems to be that there are multiple things that are compounding with this ammunition that's causing these serious and just inherently extraordinarily dangerous malfunctions and catastrophic failures. So if you ultimately think about it, shooting is a very dangerous thing. If you think about it, it is inherently extraordinarily dangerous. There is a minor little explosion inches from your face, and you put a lot of faith into the people who manufacture the firearm and the people who manufacture the ammunition to leave the range in the same condition as you showed up with. Yeah, with all of your teeth, all of your eyesight, whatever. And it's kind of funny when you put that into perspective, like, whoa, that's a lot of trust to put into complete strangers that you will never meet and spend your hard-earned money on potentially inherently dangerous ammunition. So during this deep dive, I am looking at this stuff and all of it is pointing to serious quality control issue, and a lot of it being overpressured and just overdropped powder charges. So what does that mean exactly? So when you are loading your typical 5.56 case, kind of roughly the magic number is anywhere between 25 grains and 27 grains of powder when you're talking about a match grade 77 grain bullet. And people are dissecting these 5.56 AAC ammunition cases and finding that, well, they're right in there. So what does that mean then? Well, they're dropping the correct amount of powder. There must be something inherently wrong with the powder. So a lot of people source their powder from St. Mark's out of Florida. It's like the #1 powder supplier of the United States, period. I think maybe even possibly the world. And, a lot of people, unfortunately, they can't get to it. So a lot of people are resorting to brokers, and brokers are sourcing powder from places like India, Pakistan, Serbia, and other countries over Europe and other places that potentially might not have the same quality control standards as St. Mark's, for instance. So we are starting to see these issues of overpressured rounds, rupturing cases, popping primers. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is these catastrophic failures where these bullet jackets are separating from the actual lead core and taking out suppressors, or there's so much powder in there, or the powder hasn't been pressure tested correctly and it's literally just exploding. That's inherently dangerous. So I said, you know what? I can read all of this stuff on the internet, but I want to talk to these people. I want to talk to people who have actually had firsthand experience with AAC ammunition failures and what it has done to their gun and what it looked like on the back end as the customer talking to customer service. So I made a little post on my Instagram, and I also made a little story saying, hey, if you've ever had any issues with AAC ammunition, just reach out to me with some pictures and stuff like that. I'd love to have a little conversation about it. And it was no shortage of people. It was actually an alarming amount of people like showing up in my DMs or commenting saying, hey, this is what happened to me. I popped primers here. I blew up suppressors. I blew up my gun. This is serious stuff. So I'm talking to these people and I'm like, what happened? And it's like, I don't know what happened other than the gun went bang really, really loud and banana peeled open my receiver, or I was shooting and like it's every other round I'm popping a primer and I'm getting tons of malfunctions. And it seems to be that AAC is taking care of those customers. They're offering either one store credit or a complete refund, and which is great. That's a great way to take care of it for sure. But I have also seen some things that might seem a little interesting on how they take care of it. So I had a gentleman who reached out to me and he's like, hey, yeah, I've had some issues with this stuff and here's how it was handled. So I think he said he posted it on Reddit and he said, hey, is anybody else having this issue? This is what happened to me. My AAC ammunition is popping primers left and right and it's completely unreliable. PSA reached out to him, customer service rep on Reddit, and said, hey, yeah, absolutely, we'll take care of that. No problem, man. Here, we're going to get you all new ammunition. We're going to get that taken care of. Also, would you mind deleting your post? Which, I guess if the issue was handled, I don't suppose that's necessarily a bad thing to ask, but also, why wouldn't you just handle that on an open forum instead of in the DMs where nobody else can see? If I'm a manufacturer and I'm being 100% transparent, I am just going to say, hey, right out in the open for everybody to see that we have amended this issue very quickly. We got this guy a refund, we got this guy the store credit, and we got this ammunition that isn't working for him just gone. It's no longer there. That's great. That's fantastic, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So it seems like, I don't know, it kind of, it feels a little odd. So there's all of that. And then from the manufacturer side, I have legitimate suppressor manufacturers, Otter Creek Labs, saying, hey, we don't really recommend AAC ammunition through our suppressors. Why is that? Well, that's because they are warranting those suppressors for customers and not because the customer did anything wrong or even the manufacturer did anything wrong. These AAC projectiles, whether it's 5.56 and what seems to be most prevalent in 300 black is we are having a lot of the case jacket. So the jacket that goes on the bullet, the full metal jacket, if you will, they are starting to separate as they leave the barrel. And what happens is that when this stuff separates, it, mushrooms up, it sends shards and stuff all throughout your suppressor. And unfortunately, suppressors aren't really designed to have that happen. They're designed to trap the gas. They are not designed to trap the actual projectile. So these projectiles are destroying suppressors. Here's multiple pictures of them. And it's gotten so bad that it's to the point that this company no longer recommends AAC ammunition through their cans. The people are really talking about it. It's even on Palmetto State Armory's own discussion board. They have their own discussion board where people are having these issues, posting them on their own thing. And it doesn't seem to be like most of the ammunition is bad. It's not like every single case, every single lot number is doing this to people's guns, because I don't think that's the case. But what I do think is that it's happening at an alarming rate. And my research in all of these people right here, all of these people who have reached out to me, all of the people I have found on Google that have posted about this in the last couple of years, yeah, it's starting to see a trend. We start to see this trend of like, okay, maybe it's time we have a discussion about this. So I don't have a problem with AAC ammo. In fact, actually, I'm a huge proponent of budget ammo. Again, who doesn't want to shoot for less? Who doesn't want to shoot more and spend less money? I do. Heck yeah, everybody does. And it is awesome to see an American manufacturer doing this in the United States with American labor. Like, that's dope. That is so awesome that an American manufacturing company is actually trying to be competitive with foreign manufactured stuff. The thing of it is what little bit is left of American manufacturing needs to be protected. And I genuinely think AAC ammo needs to be protected, but also we do have to hold these people accountable because, hey, if we see issues arising, they need to be talked about. And it doesn't have to be in a nasty manner. It doesn't have to be like, oh, that's trash, stay away from it. Because if I wanted to say that, I would have just said, trash ammo, end of story. It would have been a 30-second clip. No, I don't want to do that. But what I want to do is talk about this and have a legit adult conversation with this ammunition. Because here's the thing. I would want to run this stuff. I would want to run this stuff if I knew I wasn't going to potentially have these issues, because at the moment, there's nothing worth it. My firearms are not worth potentially saving a quarter a round over the competition. It's simply not. Any way that you put it, any way that the cookie crumbles, any way you peel the banana, whatever analogy that you want to use, there is no amount of money that you can save that makes this appealing. But what if? What if we got quality control up? What if we really started pressure testing a lot more often on this ammunition before it goes out the door? Because then we can actually find it and cure and solve the problem before it leaves and it gets into the customer's hands and blows up their guns, or maybe even causes a legit injury. And the issues aren't just exclusive to, again, the popped primers, the ruptured cases, and these suppressors blowing up. It's also the ammunition showing up out of the box wrong. We have deformed cases. We have primers that aren't even installed in brand new ammunition. We have ammunition that's packed so badly that it's going off in the shipping case. There's even projectiles that are falling out of the cases because there's not enough neck tension, and all of this powder is spilled out in these customers' packages. So it seems to be that it's not just the quality control of pressure testing, but it's also just the quality control in general of visual inspection. Here's the thing. AAC does deal in volume. So yes, are they going to be susceptible to seeing more issues? Yes, absolutely. Because there's not a single company in the entire world who's made everything perfect every single time. The difference is separated in quality control. How much of it and how much of it is allowed to get out. So yes, if you are selling in extreme volume, because hey, again, it's very affordable and it's very attractive pricing, but is this coming at some sort of cost? And I believe the answer is yes. So I guess it becomes a question when we have, again, cases just exploding in chambers of guns and ammunition showing up out of the box, all sorts of wrong, that what are we as 2A hobbyists, 2A enthusiasts, and the consumers of this product willing to accept before we start holding these people accountable? And it's not necessarily holding them accountable in a negative manner. It's, hey, let's get this right because I want to continue to support you. But I also like the way that my face looks. I want it to look the same way as I showed up to the range as when I leave the range. So then the question becomes, how much extra do we have to spend per case? How much extra do we have to spend per round to get this stuff right to where we can trust it again? Because as of right now, I can't. I personally can't. There is no amount of money that I can save on ammunition, 10 cents, 25 cents per round, that is worth the price of my gun, that is worth the price of my eyesight, my face. Something has to change. And guys, we don't have to tear down this company. That is the exact opposite of what I want. But I do want to hold them accountable for making a product that is safe. So yes, this is going to be a little bit contentious of a topic, but here's the thing. It's something that needs to be said. And we have to hold these manufacturers accountable because it's the year 2025. Guys, billfolds are tightening up and people just aren't spending the same way they were 2 to 3 years ago. And for good reason. There's just, there's a lot going on. It hurts, man. It hurts. Every day you wake up, it costs $100 some odd just to wake up. That sucks. That sucks. And AAC Ammunition is making very affordable, very attractive price stuff. And this helps. This definitely helps. But what doesn't help is it potentially being a liability. We have to ask ourselves, is the juice worth the squeeze? And in my opinion, I don't believe so right now. But together, we can absolutely do this. And together, we can make this ammunition great. We just have to hold these people accountable. So, guys, I believe we have a wrap on this. Let's start a conversation. Let's have an adult conversation about this. Let's not throw mud. Let's be adults here. And let's get this stuff right. Because if we can, they're on our side. They're on our team. AAC is on our team. I promise you guys that. They're not out there to get us or anything like that. Nobody is. Yes, are they in business to make money? Sure. Just like every single one of you are in business to make money. You sell your labor to your boss, or you sell your labor to a customer to make money, to feed your family, to keep a roof over your head. So no, they're not the bad guys at all. We just got some tweaking to do. We just got a little bit of quality control that we need to pump up. And once we get there, yeah, we have got a friend in the 2A community. So, JDs and Letterman, we'll leave you with that. As always, run your gun and not your mouth. We'll catch you next time.